Boundless Authenticity Podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to the Boundless Authenticity Podcast. If you're new here and you want to keep the conversations flowing, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Today, I'm talking with Dr. Neja Zupan, who is a global energy master, international speaker, and founder of the Mastering Energy Academy, a transformative space where high-achieving professionals, visionaries, and conscious entrepreneurs recalibrate their energy, restore their vitality, and lead with aligned clarity, intuitive power, and energetic authority. Her personal transformation began with a life-altering diagnosis, aggressive hormone-dependent cancer, and only a 5% chance of survival. Every woman in her family before her had died of cancer. She carried the same BRCA gene, but chose a new path. Instead of following the conventional route, she turned inward, initiating a profound energetic healing journey through nervous system recalibration, emotional release, fascia clearing, and frequency realignment. She rebuilt her entire life force from the inside out. She didn't just heal, she transformed her identity, her energy field, and her purpose. This experience became the foundation of her work, and today, Dr. Zupan leads an international movement using energetic principles that help conscious leaders scale their success without depletion and create magnetic results in businesses effortlessly. Tell me about how you got on this journey. Expand on your story.
Thank you for invitation to your podcast and to introduce me to your audience. I hope I will be able to bring loads of added value also for your podcast audience. So yes, my journey started already. Yeah, actually it started already much before than I was born, because the cancer that you have just read that I was diagnosed with, you know, all my female ancestors passed away for cancer. And I was somehow genetically burdened, or I attracted family trauma into my life. So it started really early with how I was abroad, you know. I was not very happy in my primer family, and also diagnosed with different things. And already at the age of 8, as I remember, you know, I have fallen and I had quite deep and about 4 centimeters long wound. I don't know how much is this in inch, 5 centimeters, but I hope that it's like this, you know, yeah, like one finger. Yeah, it was long and deep, and I was bleeding a lot, but I was screaming from depth of my soul that I don't want to go to the doctor. So somehow mother managed to put everything together, and at the age of 11, I had allergies, so really bad allergies, and I was on injections, on pills, on creams, sprays, you know, drops. Don't mention, I had everything. And at 11, I already started to scream that I don't want to receive any more injection. So these were like beginnings of everything what I was doing afterwards. Because I was diagnosed or labeled as child with special needs, I was prohibited to study for a medical doctor. I dreamed as a child, I dreamed that I will be a medical doctor, but then I was not able to enter the university. But this was actually a blessing, because at that time, at age of 18, I really went deep into studying different natural healing modalities. So this was a really deep study from psychology, energy healing, Ayurveda, traditional Chinese medicine, phytotherapy, kinesiology, so many things, non-violent communication, neuro-linguistic programming, so many things. Actually, I started to study. And but when I was 25, my mother died and for cancer. So when watching this, how she passed away, I said, no way that I'm going that way. If I had a diagnosis of cancer, and eventually at the age of 42, I was diagnosed with the cancer, aggressive form, hormonal dependent, ductal cancer. I was given only 5% chances to survive, and so I said to doctors, no, I reject 30, so it was 10 rounds of 3 days chemotherapy, 35 radiation therapy, and 5 years of hormonal therapy treatment. So this would kill me. So I said, I go my way. And I started to use everything what I learned since my age of 14 to really start apply, really profoundly apply and change my energetic blueprint, clean my body, search for mindset changes, what in my mind was blocking myself, or also emotions. Particularly at that time, I got really aware that emotions and mind is like embodied in tissue, in different structures inside the body. So I was liberating my mind from my body, and when I liberated my mind from my body, I started to attract different type of energies, and I was healed.
Well, there's a lot to unpack here, because the underlying theme is the power of belief, which we know works. Then you have to get into how we're told the whole gene story for just about everything, when we know that that's not true, and yet people still don't believe it. And 3, there were a series, possibly hundreds, thousands of mindset shifts that happened for you that you had to be willing to go deep on. So I think logically we should talk about what mindset shift did you have to first tackle?
First, I actually started with a shift on a spiritual level. I hugely not just believe, I experienced on my path that we are multidimensional beings. We have physical body, emotional body, mind, energy, and spiritual body. So I started on a spiritual level. So really to start to call or to conduct, liberate all the spiritual blockages that prevented this beautiful golden white high vibrational energy to flow through my body. So this was my first step. Then the second step was working with my body, not because something I would be doing something wrong with like diet or I wouldn't drink much water. Yes, I ate good food and I drank a lot of water. So this was not the case. But cancer cells by themselves, they produce more than 60 different toxins. So I was constantly liberating or relieving my body from those toxins. But when I started to work with my body, I started to notice that my mind is stuck in my body. So just liberating or cleaning or detoxifying my body, this will not help. So what I figured out first was that anger, usually it's many people say, I'm fighting with cancer, I'm fighting with that disease, I'm fighting with I don't know what. I figured out that actually anger and rage, this is not my frequency, and I'm just not good at this. So I figured out, not that I figured out, I helped my body to liberate anger and rage from my body. There are different techniques from traditional Chinese medicine, of kinesiology, Ayurveda, energy medicine. So different approaches, techniques, how you can liberate this from the body. And what I figured out that, oh my God, next step was a lot of sadness was inside. I remember clearly when one lady was doing liberation of lymph in my body, so unblocking the flow of the lymph in my body. I started to cry. It was quite a long treatment, and I started to cry, and I couldn't stop for 4 days. I was crying, and this was huge emotional release. And this was what I felt. This was not sadness, just my sadness, but was sadness from my ancestors. So my mother, my aunts, my grandmothers, they couldn't express this sadness that was coming out. Then when my body was liberated, then I started to connect how I was playing all the time a role of victim and felt guilty and ashamed of for everything. And whatever somebody says, I felt guilty. So then I started to connect, what is in mind, and consciously started to reprogram, because then my body was liberated as a conductor, and a huge beam of golden white energy light was flowing through me. So I was capable of recognizing this victimhood patterns. It's not just like feeling guilty, but also undervalued. So my self-esteem was somewhere under the ground, And with the help of really liberated body and this support from the universe, you can call, this universal energy, or whatever name you can give, like it can be God or Allah or Brahma or the Great Spirit, or whatever. It's what I perceived. It's really huge energy that is taking care of us, and I completely surrender. I wanted, as a child, I I wanted to hold the control of everything, what was going on in my life. But with the cancer, I feel really like a huge blessing that I was able to liberate myself from this like cage that I have set around myself. And so many people are constantly in fighting. So what I have decided, yes, I started my process of healing with battling with this cancer. But in 2 months, I recognized that I'm really not good at battling. So I said, okay, no, this is not for me. And in one meditation, I clearly received a message: love your cancer. Because who created cancer? Not somebody outside, but it was inside. So it was, as I said, inherited trauma, scarcity, and all the past unprocessed emotions that I was, as a child, I was unable to process them, and nobody showed me. So this was stuck in my body. So cancer was actually a messenger. What I need to do to quantum leap, not just as a spirit, but also as body.
So tell me more about that, and tell me more about what it takes to make that quantum leap.
I did many detoxification processes, so to liberate body from all sorts of toxins and limiting beliefs. Then I cleared. I became, when my body was very clear, very. Was working as a good conductor, I became very clear about my emotions and my thoughts. So here comes mind work. And I caught, thoughts, and I was writing a lot what I was thinking. Because when I was writing, like journaling, what was in my mind, I became aware how I can transform this into a more positive way of thinking. And then, of course, a lot of energy work. So energy practices. Because I was really highly interested that already in the morning, I started with high frequency energy. So that only this type of energy was flowing through me. And that enabled me to become aware also of deep unprocessed traumas. And then connection with the Great Spirit or God, because we don't heal. We just need to surrender to something greater and allow that this God's energy flow through us, and this is the true healing. So all this I did to really quantum leap. So that means we started, you just said, about genetics, and DNA and so on. At that time, I became really very aware that this double spine, or how it is called in English for DNA, double
helix.
Yeah, it's not just double. It's on one side is 8 of them, and on the other side is 8 of them. So when you change the energy that flows through those like invisible DNA lines, then also inside physical DNA, things start to change.
Right. On an intracellular level, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So what I noticed, so many people say to me, you look so young. What are you doing? I just invite every morning high frequency energy that it flows through me. Then I can, according to this, I can calibrate my mind. I catch what is not okay in my life. Because energy, frequency of energy dictates thoughts and liberates all deep unconscious limitations to the surface. So I become aware, and then I have, of course, choice whether to change or stay the same. And I was very interested to change, because I really wanted to end this how it is called in English, legacy cancer legacy from my ancestors, you know. I was just interested to make it.
It's interesting that you use that word legacy, because that is really what some people do leave behind. I've heard it in my own family, but I am now 38 years old, and my mother started having thyroid issues when she was in her early 30s. And she just believes this narrative that it's genetic, and no matter what I tell her, things don't get any better for her. And I even asked her, okay, so how is it that I'm past the age that you got sick and everybody else in my family have other things too? And they all think that what they have is genetic. It must be genetic. Nobody told them that, but they think that it must be. And it's illogical to my observation, because my grandfather, he had a cancer diagnosis when he was 86 years old, and he fought it. And I don't think that he was really fighting in the typical way that people fight. It was all mental for him, because the first thing he did was he looked at us when the doctor told him that, and he was like, you hear what the fuck this guy just said to me? he was like, that is not logical to me. Like, my life is not over, right? But the biggest thing that he was lacking around him were people who understood the same thing as him. And I think that when you surround yourself with people who don't believe what you believe, it can take you downhill as well. Where I'm going with that is, I just don't believe all the stuff that my parents and the rest of my family believes. And I don't feel a day older than 17 years old. I just don't think that it is normal for people to go through their lives thinking that death and degradation are an inevitability, and that you must struggle because you've been around the sun a certain number of times. I just don't think that that makes any logical sense. I thought that way even before I was a so-called spiritually aware person, or a more self-aware. So I would just love for you to then take that and use it as a platform to jump off of and provide some insight, because I do understand that there are people that might tune into this podcast. They may see it on YouTube, and they're actually sitting in a waiting room somewhere waiting to get chemotherapy or something, and they don't believe what we're saying. So let's expand on those things and help give them some clarity and some availability of focus, so that they can say, you know what, I actually think I can get through this.
It's difficult to convince somebody who is convinced. So this is first thing, you know. But at least in Slovenian language, I don't know, I'm from Slovenia, whether there is in English exists some quote, laughter is half of healing. So people who are happy, who are really internally happy, not just externally like pretending or acting as for one role, but internally happy, they're not as ill as others. So, and I also usually give one example. If there was something from outside that would attack us, then when we go, for example, here is now winter and it's very cold, and many people are caught a cold. But for example, if there is a group of 100 people, let's say 50 got ill. If something would be coming from outside in, then all of them would be ill. So it's something inside that prevents other 50 to get ill. So if you build up this, what you have inside, immune system, your positivity, laughter, dancing, laughing, singing, if you potentialize this, then you decrease or lessen all the possibilities to get any sort of disease. So just looking from this very material perspective, for those who might not believe, I also have quite a lot of people that got cured from cancer under my supervision. So I empowered them, I mentored them how they can do it. And they did it. And I have five recordings I already have on video. So it's not me that just I was so, let's say, lucky in quotes, that I got healed. No, if person follows the steps and does the steps and practice connection with something above, then it's high probability that the person will get healed. And it's really, really interesting, last week I was at one event, and I was interviewing very successful people. I was really impressed what they said. Majority of them have put on first place connection with something greater. So being thankful for everything what is happening in your life, no matter if this is something small, because whatever you get after birth, it's just a premium, a bonus, because you got life and you can do whatever you want with this life. You can throw it away, or you make something out of it. That's completely decision of the individual person.
Let me bring this around to something that may rub some people the wrong way, because in my life I have had challenges and I just was at rock bottom, and I had moments where I was like, I do believe in something higher, but I don't feel supported by it. And I just actually took that and I said, whatever, I will do whatever you want if you just tell me what I'm supposed to be doing, because obviously I'm not getting good results. So I'm not doing what you want me to be doing. I sat with it, and the next couple of weeks were rough, but I just kept waiting in expectation that because I declared that I'll do whatever you want, stuff would change, and stuff did change. You know, a lot of it was very, you always hear like people who were traditionally labeled woo woo, they come out and they're like, oh, I manifested this amount of money or whatever. And here's the blueprint for doing that. And I would say to those people, I've never had a blueprint. I've just kind of declared that I need help. And then help arrived in the most strange, unexplainable of ways. And you really just can't recreate that. You need to have some faith. And I see it with my clients too. Doing hypnotherapy, a lot of people have these belief systems that are coming from maybe in their family system, or betrayal by religious organizations, or conditioning from what's on TV. And they don't understand what it feels like to be supported by a higher power, you know?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's very true. You know, because what I also see in my practice, people who are very ill usually have lost this connection with this higher power. And it was the same with me. I was, as a child, I was somehow abandoned. I was not abandoned, but in some way abandoned, you know. My mother and father were building a house for us. So I was hours and hours and hours alone in the crib, in my bed, lying. Nobody was there. And even when I was more adult, my mother was telling people around that I was very good child because she changed diapers, she fed me and put back in the crib. But what stayed with me was abandonment. Nobody heard me when I was crying, screaming, and I was crying and screaming so long that I gave up. I thought, here's nobody for me. I'm completely alone for everything. And this is what was happening in my life. All the time I was alone. And then when this connection came, it's exactly what you said. Surrender. Do whatever you need to do, whatever I need to do, just tell me and I will do. Because this way, no way. I don't want to go that way. Yeah, it's very, very interesting. And for those who might not believe in something greater, I have really nice story. Would you like that I tell this story?
Yes, please.
Yeah. It was a teacher and a student. And student said, I don't believe in God. Prove me that God exists. And teacher said, okay. Do you see this book? And the student said, yes. Do you know that author? Yes, I know that author. Okay, what about this book? And he brought very old book. What about this book? And it was no title on the book, it was just inside. Do you know who wrote this book? Yes, somebody wrote. So a book was not written by itself, it's right? And the student said, yes. Okay, and then the teacher pointed to the building, very old building. Do you know, he asked, do you know that somebody built this building? And student said, yes, of course, somebody built. So it was one builder and architect behind. And student said, yes. Do you know them? No, I don't know them. And then teacher showed to or pointed to one painting, one very old painting. He said, look, this painting. Was here also somebody who created this? And student said, yes. And teacher said, okay, behind everything what is created is somebody who created it. In this case of building, of book, of painting, yes, we know it was human being. And for the world, that must be somebody that created everything what exists in this world. It must not just bam and everything was created. So it was some higher intelligence that put everything together. And student just zipped her lips. So behind everything what is created is a creator. Whether we call it God, Allah, Brahma, big spirit, or whatever, actually, it is a creator.
In the last few minutes, tell me about your system, the Ultimate Energy Empowerment.
In this system, I teach people that energy is business currency. It's a currency of your life. This is first thing that people need to know. But not just to know, to feel. We need to move from thinking to feeling. It's not enough feeling in this world. Too much thinking. So feeling how energy flows through us. How we know that energy flows through us. When body is dead, you cannot revivify body with food or surgery or drugs or electroshocks or, the water. You cannot. Why? Because energy is gone. That's why we really need to take care of our energy. This is first. So energy is our biggest currency and biggest asset, no matter this is for business or for life. The second one is thinking beyond logic. And that's exactly what we have been talking about. Go deep and, yes, have doubt about certain beliefs that were poured into us when we were children. Like I just explained, I felt like abandoned. It was not true. I knew consciously that my mother and father were building a house for us, but at that time I had just feeling of abandonment. And when I built a relationship with the divine father and divine mother, with one word like God, then I started to feel that healing energy flows through me. And the third one, building energetic capacity. If you want to have something in your life, no matter what that is, for some people it could be a nice partnership or the house or car or vacation or search, whatever you want, whatever somebody wants. We need first to make ourselves like energetic blueprint of the energy that we want to attract. So we start to magnetize or attract what we want. So we need to become that thing first, this energy frequency first. And about energy law of attraction, there are millions of books, so.
Tell everyone where they can find you.
They can find me on my social media, Dr. Neja Zupan Institute, on Instagram or Facebook, also on YouTube. On YouTube, I have mostly shorts, as well as on TikTok. There are shorts over there. And on LinkedIn, for somebody who is more in business, can find me on LinkedIn. So all social media. But I have prepared also very special gift for your audience. And that is 7 steps, energetic alignment in action. So each one of you can make your energy frequency high already in the morning, so you can attract whatever you want, because with making or starting to vibrate with this high frequency, you can attract your dreams towards you, not chase, but attract them. So this gift you can get on my website, highfrequencyenergyformula.com. So high frequency energy formula.com. If you follow these 7 steps that are described in this book, you can really make yourself high vibrational being, and you start perceive things that are otherwise not possible to perceive. So I invite you to go to my webpage, highfrequencyenergyformula.com, download this book and start practicing. And it's one more thing that I would like to emphasize, that late summer this year, my book is going to be out. It's From Tumor to Humor. And I can notify you. Actually, I will send to all my hosts on podcasts, because at the beginning, the price will be very low. And in this book, I'm describing my path, my entire path of healing cancer, what I did, how deep I went, and how I managed to really elevate my energy. So this will be available this summer.
Dr. Zupan, thanks for being on the Boundless Authenticity podcast.
Thank you for hosting me. And as I said at the beginning, I hope that I brought added value to your clients, to your audience.
I enjoyed our conversation, so I hope so too.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
You're listening to the Boundless Authenticity Podcast, where we discuss everything related to the evolution of human consciousness.
At the very least, people need to understand that the United States builds bunkers, which are basically cities underground, every 3 months.
Basically, when you dream, you tap into your subconscious. It is your nocturnal intuition, your creativity and imagination unchained from conscious reason, ego and logic.
They're biologically alive, but they have no soul. They have AI consciousness. They can alter your conscious of the brain to get the brain.
We live in a multidimensional reality, whether it comes through esoteric information in the spiritual realms, or the UFO people, experiencers, or mainstream through quantum physics and through mainstream science now realizing that parallel dimensions probably exist.
We're all spiritual beings. We're all having these human experiences. We've heard that phrase over and over and over. But what does that really mean?
You know, all the big questions of life, we have these answers inside of our souls.
We're ultimately studying the nature of what it is to be human, good and evil, our psychology, how we think, and our health. That's why I love Bruce Lee's great quote, all knowledge is ultimately self-knowledge.
The Boundless Authenticity Podcast.